Hi, everyone. This Sunday's sermon, let's see, today is the 14th, so this Sunday's the 16th, and the reading in the lectionary is one that I took a look at and I thought, this may be too hot to touch. I'm not sure I really want to do it. But then as I looked at it some more, I think it's something that we need to talk about, we need to deal with, and I think maybe it's going to be interesting. The reading is from Matthew 15. And actually, the lectionary puts verses 10 through 20 in parentheses, and as almost to say, look, you can do the sermon on Matthew 10 through 20, or you can do it on 21 through 28. But do you really want to combine the two, or maybe you do? So let me read this, and then I've got a few questions as we prepare for Sunday's sermon, either in person in the church or if you watch it on video. I've got some questions that I think we need to answer. And how are we going to get out of this one? So here we go. Matthew 15, 10 through 20, and 21 through 28. Then he called the crowd to him and said to them, "Listen and understand. It is not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but it is what comes out of the mouth that defiles." Then the disciples approached and said to him, "Do you know that the Pharisees took offense when they heard what you said?" He answered, "Every plant that my heavenly Father has not planted will be uprooted. Let them alone. They are blind guides of the blind. And if one blind person guides another, both will fall into a pit." But Peter said to him, "Explain this parable to us." Then he said, "Are you also still without understanding? Do you not see that whatever goes into the mouth enters the stomach and goes out into the sewer? But what comes out of the mouth proceeds from the heart, and this is what defiles. For out of the heart come evil intentions, murder, adultery, fornication, theft, false witness, and slander. These are what defile a person. But to eat with unwashed hands does not defile." Jesus left that place and went away to the district of Tyre and Sidon. Just then a Canaanite woman from that region came out and started shouting, "Have mercy on me, Lord, Son of David. My daughter is tormented by a demon." But he did not answer her at all. And his disciples came and urged him, saying, "Send her away, for she keeps shouting at us." He answered again to the woman, "I was sent only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel." But she came and knelt before him, saying, "Lord, help me." He answered, "It is not fair to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs." She said, "Yes, Lord. Yet even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall from their master's table." Then Jesus answered her, "Woman, great is your faith. Let it be done for you as you wish." And her daughter was healed instantly. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. The first part is pretty easy. Really doesn't need a whole lot of sermonizing or explanation. I think it almost sort of speaks for itself. Just before this, the Pharisees were grumbling at Jesus because Jesus' disciples didn't do the ritual hand washing before they ate food. And this upset them because of their tradition and the rituals and the law. And so Jesus says, look, it's not what you put into your mouth or how you put things into your mouth or whether you wash your hands and do all these types of rituals that make a person defiled. It is rather what comes out of the mouth, which proceeds from the heart and reveals a person's true inner nature. And when a person's true inner nature comes out through the mouth, their mouth, that is what defiles the person. I think that's pretty easy for us to figure out. In other words, what Jesus is saying is, all these traditions and laws and things like that, you're missing the point. Those are not the most important thing. It's the heart and what comes out of the heart. Then right after that, we have Jesus seeming to go against everything that he just said. He's just said that tradition doesn't matter, the laws and rules don't matter. In fact, they serve to exclude people from God's grace. And then Jesus meets a Canaanite woman. a Canaanite woman who breaks boundaries. A woman, not only is she Canaanite, so the Jews would have looked down on her, calling her a dog would have been common. But she's also a woman, and women don't speak to men in public and vice versa. And this woman comes out, and she doesn't just address Jesus and the disciples. She's shouting at them. She's following them. She's making a spectacle out of herself. And what happens here? She makes a spectacle, and she said, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on me. Kyrie eleison, have mercy on me. My daughter has a demon." And at first, Jesus seems to go along with the tradition of the times, the doctrine that the Jews are a separate race of people, or a separate people preferred by God, that they are the children of God first. And Jesus, in accordance with the times, ignores her. He just doesn't answer her. Then she keeps on saying, "Please help me." And the disciples say, "Send her away." And Jesus says, "No, I'm not going to help you." And she persists. And he says, "Look, it's not right to take the food that belongs to the children of Israel." And then he says, "Throw it to the dogs." What do we do with that? With the Jesus who says these traditions and exclusionary practices don't matter. And then right on the heels of that, Matthew has Jesus calling this woman a dog and says, "You don't deserve the food," meaning the mercy and the grace and the forgiveness and the healing power that the children of Israel deserve. No, you're an outsider. As we prepare for Sunday, let's think about some things. A lot of commentators look at this and say the whole thing, the woman and Jesus were somehow in cahoots, and Jesus never meant anything negative by any of this, that he had a plan in place the entire time, and the plan was all to teach the disciples a lesson through this encounter that God's grace and mercy are for everyone. And somehow the woman was part of this plan, and that Jesus never intended to be to insult her at all. That wasn't it shouldn't even be a part of our thoughts and minds. Another more recent school of thought in a lot of commentators is that Jesus, although he preached that these exclusionary practices were wrong and that God's grace and mercy were for everyone, that he meant it when he said, "I came first for the house of Israel, for the children of Israel." And he was so inured, so trapped in that system, that Jesus himself had to overcome prejudice and racism within himself in order for his ministry to advance. And that somehow God used this woman, this Syrophoenician or Canaanite woman, to teach Jesus that he was at heart at this point still somehow prejudiced or racist. I have a tough time with both of those. I will tell you, I have a tough time with both of those. It also, commentators say, well, the main thrust of the story is about the woman and her faith, and how we must persist in calling upon God and asking God for mercy, and that God will ultimately hear, and that the reward for great faith is that God forgives and gives grace. Perhaps. What do you think? Was Jesus a racist? I hesitate to even say that, because I'm uncomfortable even going down that path. Or was this something that Jesus and this woman somehow had this all planned together, or that Jesus only used this to teach the disciples? I have a little bit of a difficult time with that one. So when I say, how are we going to get ourselves out of this? I may need your help. So be thinking about this. If you have some comments, please post them at the bottom of this YouTube video, or send me an email, because I would love to get your input prior to Sunday, and look forward to seeing all of you on Sunday, either in person at the church or online. God bless.